Doc, would you agree with me if I say that because of the fact that earlier we used to draw charts with your hands, and those data, OHLC data, the open, high, low, close data, was on an end of day basis. So you could have the bare minimum time frame you could plot is a day.
Correct.
And then probably a week and month and so on.
Yeah.
But with technology coming in, and now with the press of a button, I can look into a 1 minute chart and then quickly to a 1 month chart. Would you agree that a lot of people, that's why sense and think and believe that technical analysis is for a short term, it's for someone who wants to trade in and out of the market, and it doesn't work or is not for someone who has a 1 year, 3 year or 10 year kind of time frame. I believe that technical analysis can be used for the long term as well. What are your thoughts on this?
No, I would completely agree with you on the fact that technical analysis can be used over any term. Now, the demand of the marketplace has been that they needed a tool to deal with the short term. And what was readily available was technical analysis. So it just became an image thing that if you need to do short term, then you cannot do without technical analysis, right? Because what are you essentially dealing with? In fundamental analysis, you're dealing with the stock. You're actually getting into a love affair with the stock, right? And then that lasts for a long time, and that is what you run. But when you come to trading, then you're actually engaging with the market.
Right.
And the market is a dynamic place. Unlike a stock, the fundamentals of a stock, which are more, let's say, much less dynamic, to the point of being static for long periods of time. So when you're dealing with something much more dynamic, then you got to fall in love with that dynamic process. And that is where technical analysis really fitted the bill. But it created this image, and to a large extent, let's say something like the TV channels, for example, because they are so day oriented that they got to talk about what is the news of the day.
Correct.
And what is the breaking stuff of the day, and what does it mean right now. So it has remained in that context, right, to the extent that most people believe that that is all it is. But when you take up some serious study of technical analysis, that is when you realize that this is such an enormously flexible tool that you can stretch this framework to fit whatever period of time that you want. Now that takes some effort to learn, which not many people are willing to do. But those who do go into that learning, like you said, quickly come to the realization that while it fits the bill very well for the short term, it can also fit it very well for the longer term. Now the dichotomy here is that when it comes to the longer term, particularly which is using fundamentals, etc., the question of why generally seeks to get answered. Why should this go up? Why should I buy this stock? Why should I hold it for 5 years? And man is a rational being, right? Every action of his, he wants a reason ascribed to it. So it is true for owning stocks and investing in stocks also. Why should I hold this for a long time? Technical analysis is not really addressing the why part of it. It just presumes that the why exists.
In the price.
It exists. It is inherent in the whole scheme of things. So don't even bother to ask why. Ask instead how long. Ask instead how much further. But nobody wants to ask that. Everybody wants the answer to why. So that is why people feel that since the why is not being answered, oh, this is not for the long term. But if you just shift your perspective a little, that this is not about the why business at all, because you may get an answer for why, but it need not necessarily be the true answer. It is just one explanation which is satisfying you at this moment, right? But it may not be true at all. The real deal is, will this movement persist? If you believe for 5 years, will it persist for 5 years? because conditions are not going to remain constant for 5 years. Ceteris paribus, these will work. But market is never ceteris paribus, right? So the inability of people to accept that technical analysis can also be for a longer term is because inherently they want an answer to why should it work. And there is even a little more to it, that the answer of why this should be held is explained in plain English. When you look at the fundamental side, you see management is very good, the demand for the products are very good, their outlook is so they are growing at 30% CAGR and will continue to do that for the next 5 years, etc. All of these you understand. Whereas when it comes to technical analysis, it's not so English oriented. It's more jargon oriented, it's more pattern oriented, where unless you have taken the pains to study it, it doesn't really become too explicable for you or too acceptable for you.
You won't appreciate it.
And that is why you find difficulty in accepting a technical analyst call that this is good for 5 years, but you will very readily accept a fundamental analyst call that this is good for 5 years, even though both may be saying from similar perspective.
Excellent put, actually. In fact, a month back, I tried a small attempt to write a blog, an article on the biggest strength of a technical analyst. It's there on investing.com. I'll put a link below this video. I'll request everyone to take a look into that as well.